Now you have to visit a forest or park in your neighborhood. Okay, you have to observe the trees and try to identify them. You can take the help of some elders or books on trees. Okay, list the characteristics of trees that you observe, such as height, shape of leaves, crown, flowers, and fruits, etc. Whatever you see in the forest. Also draw the crowns of some trees. Okay. So Professor Ahmed pointed out that trees had crown of different types and sizes. Now we have to understand this, that the crowns of, okay, trees also have different shape and size. These had created different horizontal layers in the forest. Okay, uh, you I hope you understand. If we talk about this line, this is horizontal, and when we talk about this is ventral. So these are known as understories. Okay, understories are mainly the plants which is found beneath that shadow of that canopy. Okay, giant and tall trees constituted the top layer, followed by shrubs and tall grasses. Okay, and herbs formed the lowermost layer. This is the understory. Okay, if you see, this is the structure of some crown shapes also. Here it's crown shape, but when 17.7 come, you will understand that. So plants and their products, I hope you feel it already. So this is the structure which you have to see carefully. Okay, so you can see this is the canopy structure here given. Okay, uppermost part, okay, which like a roof, you can see na here. Okay, and
Yes.
understory if you see, okay, other plants which are just below it, it also included the tall trees and the small ones which are growing with around us, okay, with around with other trees, other tall trees. Okay, whatever found in here, shrubs, grasses, okay, herbs. So these all include in the understory. So we see similar kind of trees in every forest? Asked Pujo. Okay. So Professor Ahmed also said no, due to different climatic conditions there are variations in the types of trees and other plants. The types of animals also differ from forest to forest. So if you see also in your around, okay, so you also understand that not all trees are similar kind, but if you're living in a particular forest, that maybe happen that you found some similar type of trees, but there are few plants which are other than them. So a few children were busy watching beautiful butterflies fluttering here and there on the flowers of shrubs and herbs. Okay, so you can see that this is the forest floor. Mainly, the forest florist figure is given here. And now, when in a forest, okay, Bojo and his team goes to a forest, and some children are busy when they seeing the butterflies. They had a close look at the bushes. Okay, they also look at the bushes. While doing that, their hair and clothes had sheets and thorns clinging to them. Okay, so you can understand this. We already read about the pollination and the spreading of that seeds. So they also when they goes into the bushes, okay, mainly if you go to into the forest, so you also feel like that. So while doing that, their hair and clothes had seeds and thorns, okay, clinging into them or sticking to them. So they came across numerous insects, spiders, squirrels, ants, and various other small animals on the bark of the trees, plant leaves, and on decaying leaves on the forest floor, which we seen already now. Okay, so in forest floor, whenever you also go, you also see many of insects, animals, okay, small animals, whatever given here, okay, spiders, ants, mainly you have seen. So they started making sketches of these creature. Okay, they also started to making these. creatures sketches. Okay, and was covered with a layer of dead and decaying leaves. Okay, the forest floor seemed dark colored because it uppermost layer you already know that it is rich in humus and barks or etc. there, so it is very dark colored. Fruit, seeds, okay, twigs and small herbs are also there. The decaying matter was moist and warm. Okay, if you go into the forest, mainly in oak forest, if you see get that much of bark and leaves are mixed there, and if you just take some samples of it, you feel something warm because they are moist. So children picked up various seeds and leaves for their collection. Okay, walking over the dead leaf layer on the forest floor was like walking over a spongy carpet. Okay, so this is like that. Okay, they also said that when you go to the forest floor, it is like that you are walking in a spongy carpet. So it is decaying matter, always warm. Okay, Professor Amos suggested that the children could perform an activity to get an answer to this question. Okay, now a question arises in the mind of children that the decaying matter is always warm or not. So for this, you can do an activity. So dig a small pit. Okay, put vegetables waste and leaves on it in it. Okay, so cover them then with soil, add some water. After 3 days, remove the upper layer of the soil. Does the pit feel warm inside? Okay. This is the same activity which you do in the case of, and you read in the next classes. Okay. When you read about the making vermicompost. Okay. And later classes. So what you have to do, dig a small pit. Okay. Put vegetable waste and leaves in it. Cover them with soil, add some water. After a few days, you have to remove the upper layer. Okay. So Paheli asked, there are so many trees there. Also, there are many forests like this. What difference will it make if we cut some trees of for a factory? Next thing is come now. So this answer is yes, because if you see because due to the moist condition and water when these are get, if you say that from organic form they get it to inorganic form. Okay, so many metabolic activities are happen there, so that's why it is feel warm. Next question of fairly that there are so many trees here, also there are many forests like this. What difference will it make if we cut some trees for a factory? Okay, now Professor Sam Ahmed said that you have read about autotrophs. Okay, you have read about autotrophs, heterotrophs, and saprotrophs. You have learned how green plants produce food. All animals, whether herbivores or carnivores, okay, depend ultimately on plants for food. You all understand it. Organisms which feed on plants often get eaten by other organisms, and so on. Okay, so this is you already read in your class 6 also. For example, grass is eaten by insects. Okay, which is taken by the frog is consumed by snakes. Okay, so this is said to be a form of food chain. So grass, insect, frog, snake, and eagle. Okay, so this is a food chain is happen. Grass eaten by insect, insect eaten by frog, frog is eaten by snake, and snake is eaten by eagle. So many food chain can be found in the forest. Okay, so all food chain are interlinked. If one food chain is disturbed, uh, it affects other food chains. Okay, so every part of the forest is dependent on the other parts. If we remove one component, say trees, all other components would be affected. So this is the same thing. In nature, whatever cycle is present, okay, nowadays we call about the global warming, etc. Why it is happening? Because the components are not in your equilibrium state. Okay, so each component of the nature has to be in its fixed state, okay, for which the environment can be good and like that, okay, similarities in the environment. So all components should be in uniform state. So I hope you understand it. This is the figure given of interrelationship of plant, soil and decomposers in a forest. If you see decomposers here, nutrients are in the soil, okay, water. So nutrients goes to these plants, okay. These plants make food by the process of photosynthesis and with the help of carbon dioxide, okay, and mainly from human beings, okay, and animals. Plant get this carbon dioxide and we get oxygen from it, and sun is the ultimate source of solar energy by which photosynthesis process happened, okay. So water is goes to from the soil, and nutrients also goes to the these trees. So like this is an interrelationship between, okay. So when the animals and these trees or human beings are dead, they are eventually get decomposed by these decomposers, okay. So the nutrients of the soil get remains. So like this cycle is in the earth, always happen, okay. And so this is the interconnection. Professor Ahmed asked children to pick up leaves from the forest floor and observe them under a hand lens, okay. They found that very tiny mushrooms over the decaying leaves, okay. They also show as many of in tiny insect also, millipedes, ants, and beetles on them. They were wondering how these organisms live there. Professor Ahmed explained that apart from these animals which are easily seen, there are several organisms and microorganisms that live in the soil. Paheli wondered what mushroom and other microorganisms eat. So Professor Ahmed replied that they feed upon the dead plant and animals' tissues and convert them into a dark colored substance called humus. Okay, so all the decomposers which act on dead plants, okay, and animals, they convert them into humus. You have already learned about humus in chapter 9, okay, in which layer of the soil would you find humus, okay. What is the importance of this to the soil? Can you tell in which layer of the soil would you find humus? It's the uppermost layer, na? Origin A, and up you can say uppermost layer also. So, what is the importance of humus? So, grow healthy. What it provides? It increase the fertility of soil. Okay, by providing nutrients. Yes, mainly it was said that they increase the fertility of soil. Okay, as they provide nutrients into the soil. So, the microorganisms which convert the dead plant and animals to humus are known as decomposers. Okay, why we call them decomposers? Because they convert the dead plants and animals to humus. Yes, these microorganisms play an important role in the forest also. Okay, soon Pahli removed some dead leaves and covered under them a layer of humus on forest floor. The presence of humus ensured that the nutrients of dead plants and animals are released into the soil. From there, These nutrients are again absorbed by the roots of the living plants. What happens if an animal dies in the forest? Okay, Sila asked. Tibu replied, the dead animal become food for vultures, crows, okay, crows, jackals, and insects. In this way, the nutrients are cycled. Okay, so nothing goes waste in a forest, as you see in figure 17.9. I already told you about that. So Pahle reminded Professor Ahmed that he had not explained why forests are called green lungs. Okay, Professor Ahmed explained that plants release oxygen through the process of photosynthesis. The plants help to provide oxygen for animals' respiration. Okay, I already told you in the first week when we talk in the introduction section. Okay, about green lungs. So actually, they release oxygen. Okay, through the process of photosynthesis, and they also help us. Okay, by providing oxygen, by which we have to do respiration process. So they also maintain the balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Okay, that is why forests are called green lungs. So if you see the figure here, balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Okay, so one thing is that yes, they you already read photosynthesis in chapter one. So if you see here from plants, okay, from animals CO2 given to plants, okay, by the process of respiration, you can say here, okay, by the process of respiration, and from the process of photosynthesis, they provide us oxygen. Okay, so this is the balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide. So plants provide oxygen and maintain a balance of carbon dioxide and oxygen in the atmosphere. That's why they are known as the green lungs. Okay, so function of our lungs also be same like this. Okay, that's why they are called green lungs. Okay, functioning of lungs you will be read in the next classes, your higher classes.